Let's take a look at what's going on with Dogecoin today, guys. All right, so what I'm looking at is a potential breakout right now. We were looking at this flag pattern in yesterday's video. We've been looking at this the past couple days. We had a big run up right here, and then we were getting consolidation bouncing in between these two trend lines. We had top, 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 bottom, 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 basically giving me these two trend lines. Kind of looks like a flag pattern in my opinion. Big run up, consolidation. If we could break to the upside, then we're looking at a target of approximately 0.608. And I get that from dragging from the bottom of the flagpole to the top of the flagpole, something like that. Drag this to the breakout. Let's see if I get a different target. It might be a little bit different. Drag that to the breakout, and I'm looking at that target somewhere around maybe 0.597 or 0.606 approximately. I'm still kind of wondering though. I mean, like, okay, so we broke the resistance. We had resistance, resistance, resistance. We were waiting to break that resistance going to the upside. We actually did break it last night or yesterday, somewhere between yesterday and today. And so, yeah, I think breaking that resistance is a good sign. Let's see if we can continue this momentum going to the upside. What I would like to see is the volume come in, because right now we have declining volume. There was a little spike right here, but let's see if we could get some more right when we broke out. But let's see if we could get the volume starting to come in a little bit more and push us back up and start fulfilling this flag pattern target. Like I said, once we break that trend line going to the upside, then I was targeting up here. I was going to say we could get more confident on it. If we broke to the bottom, then we'd have to start looking at targets going to the downside. But we broke the resistance going up. So let's see if we can come up, or let's see if the volume starts coming in, maybe, and then we can maybe come up here possibly. That this would be kind of my next target that I'm looking at if we can continue to move to the upside. And I was just waiting for a little signal whether we're going to break to the top or to the bottom. I guess the other thing you could argue is that we want to break the top over here. We have a top sitting at around dot 433. If we could break, once we break this top going to the upside, then we could get much more confident on that target or that flag pattern target. But I do like the way it broke the resistance right now. I do think that's looking good. Let's see if we can continue that momentum and push to the upside and continue going up to maybe this target. That about does it on Dogecoin. Let's take a look at Dogecoin to Bitcoin. Same thing with this chart. We were looking at something very similar. We had a run up, then consolidation, kind of like a falling wedge after the run up. We broke that resistance. We had, let's see, let me go back. We had resistance, 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 pushing us down, and then we also had support, 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 support. Basically, it kind of looks like a falling wedge pattern. Like we have a channel pattern that's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. We broke that going to the upside. Now, as you saw on the last falling wedge we were looking at a couple weeks ago, once we break this going to the upside, the next places we look for are the previous resistances, something like that. If we could break the resistances, then maybe we can go higher. But this also looks kind of like a flag pattern target, like I was talking about in the Doge chart. So basically, this is Dogecoin to Bitcoin. If this chart is going down, then Bitcoin's performing better. If this chart is going up, then Dogecoin is performing better. So if we break resistances on this, going to the upside, that's good for Dogecoin, and Dogecoin could start outperforming Bitcoin again. So right here we broke that resistance that I was just talking about. Same thing on the other chart. If we need to break the tops, we need to break this top, and then we can maybe go to the next previous resistance. Because if we zoom out, let's go to the daily time frame. These are the spots that I've been looking at. We had resistance giving me this trend line. We broke that resistance, and ever since then we've been kind of taking off. Then I was looking at the next resistances going up. We had this resistance, this one right here, this one right here. We had this resistance, we had this resistance, and this is the one that we're currently kind of stuck on right now, or this is the one that's kind of giving us trouble. Every time we break these resistances though, we're getting big huge green candles, or at least on when we broke the first one, it was a steady move up. Once we broke that second one, big huge green candles right there. Let me zoom in a little bit more so you can see better. We had big green nice green candles. We broke the next one, green candles, came up to the next one, broke to that one, and then once we hit the one that we're on right now, that's when we started having trouble. And look at else what happened. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame. We came down, since a lot of times when we break these resistances, when we're on top of them, they'll act as support. And check out what happened. Let's see, let me delete this one. Okay, so we came down, hit that previous resistance and got support on it and set in resistance, and now we're bouncing on that previous resistance. It's now acting as support, bouncing to the upside. Let's see if we could break through the next resistance though. If we do, then I think we can maybe come up here, and that will give us that'll help take us to that dot six what was it, dot 606 target. So like I was saying, once we break these resistance lines, once we're breaking these resistance lines, it's been very good for us going to the upside. So let's see if we can. We had trouble right here. Let's see if we could break through it. If we can, then the next one going to the upside is way up here, which gives us a nice big room to push to the upside. Maybe we can get some more action, like something like this, where we had big green candles pushing us up. Let's see what happens though. But in general, nice big run up, consolidation. Once we break the resistance, same thing, continuation pattern. Let's see if we can continue to move to the upside. Let's see if the volume can come in and push to the upside, especially for Dogecoin. Let's take a look at Bitcoin real quick, just to kind of check it out. We were looking at this kind of pattern as well. Let me go ahead and readjust this. We have resistance, resistance, support, 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 kind of like a triangle pattern. But this also comes up after a big run up. So we have this run up, and then we have consolidation. If we could break to the upside, we could possibly be looking at another flag or pennant pattern. If we drag from the bottom of the pole to the top of the pole, something like that, drag that to the breakout, that gives me a target of approximately 105,000. But that's just to get started. The other target that I've been looking at on this chart, if we go to the daily time frame and zoom out a little bit, we also have this big cup and handle pattern. So we have the cup, and then we have the handle pattern, the channel pattern that goes after it, the channel pattern going to the downside. Once we break the resistance on that channel pattern, then we can target from the top to the bottom of the cup, something like this. Drag this to the breakout. We drag that to where it breaks the channel pattern, and then that gives me that target of around 124,000 approximately. I've been looking at maybe like 122, 124,000, somewhere up there. So those are my next targets on Bitcoin on the bigger time frame. Let's see how long. Let's see if we can continue to move up, and if we can, then that's kind of where I'm thinking it might. We will have to like re-evaluate once it gets over there. But like I said, we are kind of in a triangle pattern right now, and it looks like we are testing that resistance. Let's see if we could break through it, and then maybe go to the next spot, which could be that flag pattern target, or even just pump up. And I mean, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But right now, what we're looking at is this resistance line. If we could break that, that's going to be a good sign, and we get more confident on it pushing back to the upside. We're also looking at this bottom support line right here, support, support, support. If it broke that one going to the downside, then we'd have to get a little more worried, or at least start looking at targets going to the downside. I mean, it's possible that this previous resistance that we broke through right here, maybe even if we started coming down, that could act as support and we could get a bounce on that. But like I said, right now it looks like we're testing the resistance as opposed to testing the support. We're not testing going to the downside. We're testing going to the upside right now. We're really testing that resistance. Let's see if we could break through and start continue to move up. And that's on the Bitcoin chart. Let's see. Let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance. This chart's kind of been weird. Yeah, let's not even pay attention to that one right now. Let's go to the total crypto market cap, because this is another chart that I was looking at right before this video. This is like another, I don't know, it's like a flag pattern, but it looks kind of like a rising wedge as opposed to a falling wedge on the end of the flag pattern. We have this big run up and then consolidation, kind of like a rising wedge, which actually is a bearish pattern, because it's like a channel pattern that gets tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. In a bull market though, this isn't always gonna go to the downside. Like, so this pattern right here, that where, like I said, it's like a channel pattern going to the upside, where it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. Usually that's a bearish pattern, which means that it breaks to the downside. It doesn't always do that though. Sometimes in a bull market, you'll get these rising wedges and it'll actually break to the upside and go even more parabolic. So you have to kind of be careful with these patterns. Like, just because it's a rising wedge doesn't mean that it's going to break to the downside, is kind of my point. In a bull market, it can break to the upside. I've been fooled by these patterns many times because my favorite patterns are pretty much the rising wedge and the falling wedge because they're kind of predictable. So like if it's a falling wedge, we get that where it goes tighter and tighter to the downside. Once we break the resistance, it goes to the upside. It's not guaranteed. The same thing with this, but same thing with the rising wedge. When it's going to the upside and it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter, something like that, then it usually breaks to the downside. But let's see. It looks like it's kind of testing the top right now. Let's see if it breaks up. This is the total crypto market cap. So basically, if this chart is going up, everything is going up. And let me zoom out a little bit because this might have like a little cup and handle as well. Actually, it does. Okay, so let's look at the cup and handle on this chart as well. We have the cup, and then we have the channel pattern after the cup, which is the handle. So we'll drag from the top to the bottom. Let's do something like this. Drag from the top to the bottom of the cup, drag this to the breakout, which is breaking that channel pattern, and that gives me a target of around 4.33 trillion. Basically, like I was saying, this is all the money in crypto. So right now we're at 3 trillion. We could be looking at something like this. I mean, this target, you could be more conservative about it and maybe drag it to the top to the bottom right here, and I think that's where I got that first target, something like that, which puts us at around 4.09 trillion. Basically, though, it's looking pretty good. On the bigger time frame, when we zoom out on the daily, I'm looking at this cup and handle pattern, which is a good pattern. It's already broken that resistance to the upside. It broke the previous top, or at least that's where we're at right now. Let's see. Yeah, no, we broke the previous. We're above the previous top right now. So the other thing too is maybe this resistance that we got right here will turn into support when we come down and touch it. Maybe we'll get a bounce on it. But yeah, in that daily time frame, we have this big cup and handle. We broke that resistance. We broke the cup line, and we also broke the previous top. Those are the three things I was wanting to do on Bitcoin, and we did that. Let's see if we can do the same. Well, actually, we are doing it right now. We are above that resistance. So we have done the three things that we need to be confident on that cup and handle pattern. But let's go back to like the 4 hour. But in the shorter time frame, what I'm looking at is this little rising wedge, possibly flag pattern or pennant pattern. But yeah, we're basically watching these two lines right here, bouncing in between resistance and support. If we could break to the upside, the other thing we could do, even if we want to be conservative about it, we can drag from the top to the bottom of the triangle pattern and drag this to the breakout, and that puts us at around 3.23 trillion. So let's see what happens on this chart. We haven't got a breakout on this chart yet, but it looks like we're kind of testing it. So let's see if we can continue to move to the upside on this one. It'd be interesting to see if we break that resistance and continue to head up. That will give us a signal if Dogecoin and Bitcoin and everything else is going to continue to head up, or if we're going to start to see a little correction. Like I said, I'm watching the support and the resistance. If we break one of those, then we'll have a better idea which direction we're going. Let's take, it looks like Ethereum's going down, not went down, but same thing with Ethereum. We had a big run up, consolidation. We actually did break the resistance going to the upside, but it looks like it had a little bit of trouble right here and it kind of is going down. But yeah, these, I don't know. This one's a little interesting, isn't it? Because we had the consolidation, broke to the upside, and then we're getting a little bit of trouble right here, and then we kind of came down. Let's see if we can continue to move up, though. I have a couple targets on this one. Let's see. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit. Let's go to the other cleaner chart. I'll go ahead and talk about this real quick. We had 3 patterns that we were looking at, we had this little triangle pattern right here. We broke that going to the upside. We already fulfilled this one, which means we drag from the top to the bottom of that triangle, drag that to the breakout. That gives us that first target. We came up and hit that, and that's pretty much where we started having trouble, somewhere around 3,351 approximately. Then we started coming down. It looks like we might be getting support on the Fibonacci retracement level too, that 38% right here. Check out where we're getting support on the 38% level. I haven't been talking about this in my videos lately, the Fibonacci retracement, because on Dogecoin we actually broke out of our Fibonacci retracement. But when we have a big run up and then we start going to the downside, then we could get the Fibonacci retracement tool, drag from the bottom of the run to the top of the run, and that gives us levels to watch. Basically, right now, that 38% level sitting at around 3,092, that looks like where we're getting support right here. Check it out. We came down, found support on the 38, went up a little bit, came down, got support on that 38. We're basically hanging out right in that area. In my opinion, as long as we can stay above it, then maybe we can hold support on it and then bounce to the upside and get a next leg up. But if we break it going to the downside, then we'd start looking at the next ones going to the downside. But right now we are above that 38%. Let's see if we can stay above it and pump back to the upside. The next target that I was looking at is the channel pattern. We had a channel pattern, something like this, where we had resistance, resistance, support, 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 giving me that channel pattern. We broke that resistance line right here, going to the upside. I have a bunch of lines right here. I should probably delete some of them. Let me delete some of them real quick. So we drag from the top to the bottom of the channel pattern. Let me delete more of these. And that gives us that target. Let's actually just delete them all, and I'll redo them. Let's delete that one. Let's delete this one, just because it was kind of a mess. We could probably even delete that triangle pattern because we already kind of dealt with that one. So like I was saying, we have this channel pattern. We drag from the top to the bottom of the channel. Let's do that. Drag top to the bottom of the channel, then drag this to the breakout, and that gives us that target of around 3,886. And then, so that's for the channel pattern. And then the next pattern is another cup and handle. We had this cup, and then we had a handle, something like that, a channel pattern going to the downside after the cup formation. We look at the resistance. When we break the resistance, we can drag from the top to the bottom of the cup, something like that. And you could probably argue this cup a couple different ways. I'm trying to be a little bit more conservative about it. But we drag that to the breakout, and that gives us that target of around 4,852, which also takes us up to the previous top. If we could break out of this Fibonacci retracement box or break the top, then we could probably go even higher. It'd be nice if it went up to like around 6,000, but that's just kind of what I'm hoping. We'll have to wait and see. Let's hit this second target first, then the third target, and then we can start thinking about levels to watch after, if we can break out to the top side. But right now, today anyways, it looks like it's down 2% as opposed to like a lot of the other ones, which are kind of up. I mean, it looks like we're getting quite a few green crypto coins, but there's a couple red ones. Ethereum's red today. Cardano to Bitcoin's red. Dogecoin to Bitcoin's red. Litecoin is red. But yeah. So if you're also wondering how I'm looking at these charts or what program I'm using or whatever, it's tradingview.com. So if you're new to trading or looking at charts in general, stocks or crypto or whatever, go to tradingview.com, sign up for an account, create a watch list. You can create a watch list by clicking add symbol, this little plus sign. Then you can search for your favorite crypto or your stocks, and then you can add it to a watch list. I think the free account only lets you do 30 ticker symbols. So these are the ones that I have. But yeah, go sign up for an account and get your chart all set up. The cool thing about TradingView too is that it's going to save all the work that you do, all your technical analysis. So when you come back and when you sign in, then you'll have all your stuff set up. And yeah, so that about does it, I think, for all the rest of the coins. Let's go back to Dogecoin real quick. I mean, we've been looking at this for the past couple of days, and we've kind of just been waiting for a breakout. I think we're getting it, but I would like to see the volume come in a little bit more because, like I said, we've been looking at this pattern for a while, like a couple of days now. We have this run up, consolidation. I was saying for a while that we want to break this resistance right here. Once we do, then we can get more confident on going to the upside. And we need to break the top as well. But once we do break going to the upside, which we're kind of doing right now, then we can target from the top to the bottom of the pole, drag that to the breakout, and then, like I said at the beginning, that gives us that target of approximately 0.597, 0.606, somewhere around there. It's approximate. It's not perfect. So those are the next levels that I'm looking at going to the upside. I think the next thing that we really have to do is just break this top right here. We have a little top right here. Let's see if we can break through that. Once we do, then I think we get much more confident on something like this at 0.606. Let's zoom out a little bit more as well, because after that, okay, so we're kind of chilling right here in this area. The next, let's put up some red lines because here they are. Okay, so let's see, what was it? I think this was another resistance, and then something like this. These were the resistances that I was looking at while we're going up. Because if you zoom out, let's zoom out, come back in time, and then we had resistance, something like this. We had resistance, something like that. So we're looking at the previous resistances right here. And these are the next targets, or these are also the next levels that I'm looking at, the next targets. Because when we're over here, when we're all the way down here, when we were down here and we actually broke that top, these were the next spots that I was looking at. I was looking at this one, and maybe something like this, I think. We came up and hit all three of them, and we're still kind of moving to the upside. So these are these next red lines are the next previous resistances right here, and right here. Let's go ahead and look at the current time frame and see where that kind of lines up. So that makes sense, something like this. So let's see. I think so in general, let's say we do, okay, so when we break this top, this top kind of lines up with one of the previous resistances, or the next one, should I say, sitting at around 0.448. If we could break through that one, then the next one is around 0.588, which kind of lines up with our target. Basically, if we could break that top, break this previous resistance, the next previous resistance that we'll be looking at is around 0.588, which kind of lines up with our 0.606 target. I mean, it's not impossible that we keep going after that too. We'll have to wait and see, but I was even targeting when we were in this area. I was saying that even if we came up over here, that would be good for like a good healthy target for me, but I want to kind of see what happens next. I don't want to give up on it quite yet. I mean, we are doing pretty good. I would like to see the momentum continue and push to the upside. We're breaking the resistance right now, which in my opinion is a good sign. I think the next spots that we're looking at is the previous top right here, this previous top, then the previous resistances, and this flag target. But you can kind of see how stuff kind of lines up together, like that previous top kind of lines up with that resistance, and then the flag pattern target, top to the bottom of there, drag that to the breakout, kind of lines up with that 0.606 target, kind of lines up with the next previous resistance. And like I said, it's not impossible that we even go to the next one and or break out of it. So let's see what happens next. But I do think Dogecoin looks like it's trending to the upside right now. Let's see. We also have support, giving me this trend line right here. So as long as we can stay on this trend line pushing to the upside, I mean, even if we do something like this, continue to push to the upside, if we break this trend line going down, then that could be a signal that we might moving to the downside. But as I'm filming this video, this green candle looks like it's getting a little bit stronger. The other thing that I really want to see is where we have declining volume right now, which is kind of normal in a pattern. So when we have these patterns right here, let's see, let's kind of just draw a box within the whole thing, including the volume and the run. So we have declining volume. Once we start getting bigger volume, then that's another signal that we're heading to the upside. Right now it's still declining volume and we are pushing up, but let's see if we can continue that momentum and maybe get some volume. Then we can really call it a breakout. But it does kind of look like a breakout. The only thing that's missing is the volume. So yeah, like I said though, as I'm filming this candle looks pretty strong. Let's see if we can continue this momentum pushing to the upside. Looks like we might be at least breaking that resistance. So in my opinion, it does look like a good sign. Let me know what you guys are thinking though. If you guys like the video, hit that thumbs up. And if you like these kind of videos, click that subscribe button. We're getting super close to 10K. Thank you everyone who subscribed. And thank you everyone for watching in general. But if you guys like this video, hit that thumbs up. If you want to watch the last video, check it out right here where we talked about this pattern. And if you're new to trading and want to learn more about TradingView, check out this playlist right here. It'll help you get you started. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. If you guys like the video, hit that thumbs up.